Leaves of grain for purple mountain majesty.
Gurnett.
Here.
Gray.
Here.
Jerem.
Here.
Milton.
Here.
Mr. President.
Here. Please all rise from the Pledge of Allegiance from our special guest today, Jacob McNeil. He's a soon-to-be freshman at Elkhorn South High School, but more importantly, the great nephew of our city clerk, Sandy Moses, and spending the day with us today, which we very much appreciate. So when we're done with the pledge, we'll hear the invocation from Councilmember Pauls.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I'm going to issue all of you a challenge today. I counted around 50 of us in this room. And if you believe in the concept of pay it forward or pass it forward, I'm going to challenge you to do that. Because if every one of us would do that today, that would be a 50 additional people, and those 50 additional people, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to challenge us today to pass it forward. Thank you.
City Clerk certified publication of the daily record on July 12th, notice for a pre-council regular city council meeting July 16th, 2013. A current copy of Open Meetings Act is posted in white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Omaha City Council. This meeting is conducted in public and by law may only address the topics listed on the published agenda. The council will hear testimony but will not engage in debate of issues with the public at this meeting. During testimony, it's not appropriate to applaud or convey disapproval. These actions may only detract from the formal decorum of the meeting. At this time, please turn off or mute any electronic devices. We do have a few points of privilege here before we get started. First, and on behalf of the council, I'd like to say thank you to the Omaha Police Department for their work and for their announcement yesterday. Several of us had a briefing this morning on the Public Safety Committee about the recent arrests for the 2008 and 2013 homicides. Our hearts go out to those families, but our thanks go out to the police department for pursuing that incident and for making those arrests and for bringing some peace of mind to our community, and especially to one of my areas, Dundee, where I grew up, where this incident took place, and I know that news was very much welcomed. So we thank them for all their work. And the second item I had, in a more lighthearted fashion, is to recognize Council Chief of Staff Warren Weaver's last City Council meeting before he retires this Friday. So we wanted to give council members the chance to say a few words about Warren, realizing that we're going to save most of our ribbing for his ceremony on Thursday, but we thought it'd be appropriate to have a few remarks today as well. And I'll just note a few kind of neat statistics here about Warren, that he's been in public service for the city for more than 20 years, and that has meant he's seen the passage of over 6,800 ordinances by a city council. He's worked with at least 6 mayors, and he's worked under 29 council members, and he estimates he served at least a million cups of coffee. So that's quite a handful of numbers there, and we appreciate your service, Warren. Mr. Jerem.
Yes, and I'd like to add my thanks and publicly express my appreciation for Mr. Weaver and his service to the city and to the citizens of this city. I've only been here just over 4 years, and in that time, I've had the pleasure of having Warren be the liaison of our staff to committees that I've served on, and he's always extremely well prepared, knowledgeable about the issues, willing to research those that maybe he wasn't that familiar with. But what I appreciated the most was that in looking at the way Warren operated over this time, it was my sense that what his professional gratification was seeing us be successful and as council members, and taking the time, effort, and in some cases often long nights, early mornings, and taking on difficult issues and working with constituents, particularly as a liaison between constituents and public safety departments in issues and concerns that they might have had. So, Warren, I just want to thank you and wish you the happiest retirement, and I'm quite confident that he already has tea time lined up, and it's not too hard when you live on a course, but
Thank you.
and a trip planned. So thank you, Warren.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd also like to include in our thanks to the police department, the State Patrol, and the FBI as well, because this was a collective effort to solve a significant issue in our community, and my hats go off to them. To our Chief of Staff, who will be retiring this week, it has been a real pleasure to work with Warren. It's been a real pleasure to go in the office and close the door, and when I didn't know a lot of things, and he'd help me get through them. What I liked most about Warren was not only his work with all of our council members, but he was in the right branch of the military. He was in the United States Air Force along with myself. And although he is a Hoosier and I'm a Buckeye, and when football season comes around, I'll probably be giving Warren a call when the Hoosiers play the Buckeyes for football.
But you always win.
That's true. That's why I'm going to call you. But again, I wanted to add my thanks. Warren, you've been a great supporter to this staff and to this community, and it is well deserved. And I know you probably won't rest, but you'll at least enjoy yourself. So thank you very much for being a part of this.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Oh, why?
Yeah, don't be shy. Mr. Thompson's next.
Thank you, Mr. President. Warren, I've often said that the staff makes the council look good. We're generalists, but you guys do a good job of getting the specifics. And you do all the hard work, and then you give it to us, and then it makes us shine. But I've always said that without your help and the staff, the other staff around you, that we would not succeed. I appreciate the fact that you're a consummate professional, and that means that you do stay late and come early. In fact, you let some people come over to your house and ask questions, and you allow us to call you at late hours, and I appreciate that. And really, I was really glad that you were on board when I came on board. And in addition to the professional side, I was really glad that you are a good individual doing this rough and tumble business of politics. There were many times when you were a kind of a solidifying, calming force for me when I needed it. I appreciate the friendship. And just like before I turn off my light, I'd like to say that for both you and Ben, I'm going to let you know that the Huskers will beat the Hoosiers and the Buckeyes. So
Probably. Thank
be
you.
ready for that call, too.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gannett.
Thank you, Mr. President. When Franklin and I walked in 2001, Mr. Weaver had a small office in the east side of our floor, kind of tucked away in a corner a little bit, and it was, watch out for that guy. Yeah. Well, now I know why. Superior leader, as Franklin has said, comes early, stays late, and always available. I don't know how one can add a personal sense of gratitude and a hearty thank you for everything that you've done to make the last 12 years plus an opportunity for me to grow in an area where my other life I came and saw the dark side of things, of a system. And now you've shed some light on even the darker side of the system. I appreciate it so very much, Warren, and especially one thing very importantly is how to hold a golf club.
There you go.
I think that was an important one. So best of luck to you, and I will have my ribbing sheet come Thursday.
Thank you very
Mr.
much.
President.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Ms. Melton.
Well, Warren, I've only been here for about 60 days, but I can tell you from the time that I met you, and you welcomed me onto the city council, and you said, I will help you, and you did. That orientation that you gave us was absolutely wonderful, and you scheduled that within a couple days after the election. You've been there. I've had a lot of questions. Some of them were probably dumb questions that I should have known, and that's what you always said. There's not a dumb question, and not only do you answer the question, you explain the answer to the question. And you have taught me quite a bit just in the last 60 days, and I really appreciate it. I wish you weren't going because I think we still need you, but you've also done an excellent job, I think, in training the other city council member staff members, and I think that's truly important. You didn't just take it all on yourself. You've brought some really good people into this office, so in your absence, I do feel confident that you've given them the knowledge that you have. And so you will still be here, I think, in spirit with us as you move on to the golf course, which I hope to see you on by next week. So
Thank you very much.
thank you very much, Warren.
Thank you. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I said earlier about passing it on. We are passing or paying it forward right now. It's going to one individual. I'm just challenging us to do others. But I'm looking at a different way here. I'm mad. I'm mad because the guy's leaving. I'm going through this orientation with Amy, and I said, man, because my past life I was an administrator, and you start finding out what good people are all about and who you need around you. And so I go through a couple weeks, and all of a sudden I find out the guy's going to retire, which you do deserve, I will say that. But I'm going to get over being mad. But I do, for the very short tenure I've had with you, needless to say, you must know that I respect you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
Resolutions are a plat subdivisions.
That was nice.
Items 5 and 6 we'll take together. 5 is resolution to replat transmit herewith entitled Lofts on 24th Street located at 3101 South 24th Street is hereby approved. A, Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. 6 is subdivision agreement is hereby approved, and we have a request from the applicant to lay this over 8 weeks to September 10th and continue the public hearing.
Second. Thank you. And we need to continue the public hearing today, don't we, to see if there's proponents?
Yeah, if there's anybody here that can't come back.
There's been a motion to lay over until September 10th, but we'll go ahead and request proponents today on items number 5 and 6. Seeing none, any opponents? Seeing none, Mr. Gurnett.
Planning Department, this has been a pretty tough project to get through to its implementation stages. Is that fairly accurate?
James Hill, City Planning Department. It's very accurate. The funding sources are extremely difficult to obtain funding from.
And this is the reason why this is being laid over, because of one leg of the financial aspect of this program did not materialize, and the applicant is now going to trying to utilize other avenues to bring this project into fruition. Is that correct?
Councilman, that is correct. They are working with the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority under a separate program. Under that program, the project will eventually be funded. There's a number of steps they need to go through. However, the other funding necessary for the project is in place.
So we have a preliminary plat that we approved, and that process is a worst-case scenario. If this thing lasts more than a year, or say to the expiration of that preliminary plat application, then would the applicant have to start the process all over again?
If the plat times out, then it would have to start over again. That's correct.
All right. But at pre-council this morning, the applicant rose and spoke and said that they are still have very much interest in doing this project. They're doing everything that they possibly can. I attended a meeting where you had the applicant and all of the components were together in that room and discussed where we needed to go from there. And a layover is what this actually came down to, so they would have some time to do the things that they need to do to bring this project to fruition. Is that correct?
Councilman, that is correct.
All right. My motion still stands. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to lay over until September 10th and continue the public hearing. No further lights. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes, laid over 8 weeks.
Liquor, item number 7, Cilantro's Mexican Bar and Grill, 646 North 114th Street, Suite 150. Class C liquor license, new application, new location.
Public hearing on item number 7 is today. Are there any proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Move the approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 8, Tobacco Hut number 5, 13826 P Street, package liquor license, new application, old locations, change of stockholders.
Public hearing on item number 8 is today. Proponents, please.
Frank Maholka, 10250 Regency Circle, Suite 525, Omaha, appearing on behalf of the applicant. I have today here with me Stephanie Christensen, who's the proposed manager. Just very briefly, this is a business that's been operating for about 5 years. We have a change of ownership, so we're here for a new application. We're available to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you. Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 9, Andres Smoke Shop, 4016 North 24th Street, package liquor license, new application, new location, and we do have a telephone call in opposition.
Public hearing on item number 9 is today. Proponents.
Trent Risper, doing business at Andre's Smoke Shop at 4016 North 24th Street. I'm here today to answer any question to the best of my ability.
Great. Thank you. Are there any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents who want to speak today? Public hearing's closed. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I've got a whole host of concerns about another bar being on 24th and another packaged liquor place being on 24th Street. But I'm willing to give you a shot, but I want to talk to you about some concessions that I would like for you to make.
Okay.
First of all, no single bottles, single cans, and none of those little airplane shots.
Right.
Okay?
No, I guess about 6 packs up.
Okay. 6 packs and 12 packs,
12 packs
and when you're selling liquor, you're selling the fifths or the pints or whatever. You're not selling those airplane shots.
No,
those little
yes.
Again, I have some concerns, but I have learned from one of my wiser colleagues on the council that we try to give you a chance. So I'd be willing to do that chance, but those would be the conditions under which I would be supporting it. And that's if you would agree on the record, no airplane shots, no single bottles or single cans.
I agree to that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Motion approved.
Second.
With that condition.
With the
correct?
With that condition.
See no further lights. Roll call.
Pauls? Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
No.
Milton?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
It's adopted 5-2. Thank you. Item number 10, Select Food Mart, 2430 South 24th Street. Package liquor license, new application, new location.
Public hearing on item number 10 is today. Proponents, please.
Hello. My name is Javid Iqbal. I applied for a liquor license on 24th.
Your name and address, please.
Pardon me?
Your name and address, please.
Javid Iqbal. And my address is 3707 Center Street. And apply for liquor license on 2430 South 24th Street.
Okay.
So anybody have a question so I can get the answer?
Thank you. Any other proponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing's closed. Mr. Gurnett.
I understand right now that, Mr. Pogge, you want to put your name and address on the record?
Sure.
You're the property owner, is that correct?
That is correct. My name is Jim Pogge. My address is 2708 Liberty Lane, Papillion, Nebraska, 68133. I am the owner of the property, the landlord for the last several years, and my family's owned it for about 20. We're in the process of, I'm selling the entire property to Javid, and this is just one step in the process for the sale to be complete.
And may I say that your family have been excellent operators.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have, I could say, several of your operations within southeast Omaha.
Well, thank you very much. It's been a good.
So you have some big shoes to fill, sir.
Thank you.
Right now, the building is locked up.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
And you're going through the process, and one of them happens to be that you can have a liquor license there.
Yes.
Yes. For competing purposes.
Correct.
We haven't had Mr. Clerk. I understand that 2430 South 24th Street has not been on yours or the law committee's radar screen. To your knowledge?
No, it has not.
It has not. All right. I'm willing to give a chance as well. Get that doors open and get some business back onto that corner so it doesn't look so desolate.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I agree.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you.
No further lights. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 11, Ramada Plaza Omaha, 3321 South 72nd Street. Request permission to appoint Michael Heller, manager.
Public hearing on item number 11 is today. Proponents, please.
Michael Heller, manager at the Ramada Plaza Omaha at 3321 South 72nd Street. Here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Other proponents? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing is closed.
Move the approval.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
Approved 7-0.
Thanks.
Item number 12, the X Lounge at 1604 Northwest Radial Highway. Request permission for a special license for a beer garden on July 31st, August 1st through the 5th, with music ending at 11 p.m.
Public hearing on item number 12 is today. Proponents, please.
Candace Payne, 5513 North 37th Street. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents that want to speak today? Seeing none, any opponents?
Captain Shana Ray, Omaha Police Department Northwest Precinct.
Thank you. Any other opponents today? Public hearing is closed. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll start the questioning. Candace, first of all, we had a discussion in the hallway in which some of these times were not accurate. I just need to weren't exactly accurate. Tell me, just give us an idea of what it is you plan to do, and the individuals the people that you plan to serve.
Okay, it's my second annual X Lounge Family Fun Days. I did have it last year, not at the same time. It's in conjunction with Bryan Hill Entertainment. I have a couple of comedians. I have live band, but the outdoor activities for the beer garden is more for the children and the family members, the VIP of my lounge, to come in and enjoy with the rest of their family at this time of the year that they have different family members coming in. The X Lounge atmosphere, I guess. We'll have dunk tanks, and it'll be a mini carnival on the lounge.
Okay,
So,
but the times that you're going to be open for the beer garden area. What time is that going to be open?
that'll end at 9,
Okay, that's going to end at 9 and not 11 like it's.
not 11 like it says.
Okay, all right. So it's going to end at 9. Captain, if you would please. Given the fact that it may close at 9, Candace, what the concern is here, to be honest with you, is that with the Native Omaha Days, there's a lot of police manpower that's used to manage that. And there have been a number of issues over the course of the last few weeks that I'm sure you're aware of that has really stretched our police department, fairly significantly. So the 9 o'clock is a little bit more palatable to me, but I wanted to hear from the captain as well. I wanted to get your thoughts on it, but knowing that it's 9 o'clock kind of changes it a little for me.
The dates of July 29th to August 5th are still very labor-intense times for the Omaha Police Departments. All of our precincts for the evening shift that starts at 2 o'clock and the midnight shifts send officers to Native Omaha Days events, and there are approximately 45 officers assigned to that event alone each night. During the summer, many of our officers are off for vacation, and by contract, we have to allow those officers off, and we have a certain percentage that we keep it to. But Mrs. Payne's event at X Lounge involves inflatables and live music, beer garden, part of the street closed. Her bar is on Northwest Precinct, which is the thoroughfare between Northeast and Northwest Precinct. And the event is going to attract a lot of attention, interrupt the traffic flow, and if something goes sideways, it's going to require an immediate response. We had a homicide on an afternoon and a shooting in the afternoon. It doesn't matter what time. We just want to make sure that we're adequately staffed. Many of our staff will be around 24th Street dealing with a historically taxing event, and the police department will not be available if something happens. Adding alcohol to the event will increase the risk that the police response is required. We oppose the temporary license at this event because it will require the additional use of law enforcement resources that aren't available. They must be taken from other duties, and they might require overtime. So we believe that there are already sufficient licenses for people attending events during this time period.
I'll yield the floor right now, but I do have a couple of other questions, but I'll yield the floor.
Thank you. Ms. Melton.
Well, and I'm going to address this to Ms. Payne first, and then I have some questions for Captain Ray. But last year, how many people came to your event? Do you know?
I do. It was roughly around 75 people.
75 people per day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a 3-day event.
Last year it was a 3-day event?
Yeah.
So why did you choose to expand it to 5 days this year?
Well, because it was Native Omaha Week.
Okay.
That's the only reason why I did that. But actually, it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in which we're going to have the actual event outside. It's not going to be a 5-day event.
Okay, so when do you want the beer garden? For all 5 days or just for the 2 days?
No, ma'am. It's going to be for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay. And Captain Ray, could you tell me, do you recall if there were any problems at last year's event that brought that extra police officers maybe would have been necessary or you would have needed?
Last year at this time, I was the lieutenant of the gang unit, so I wouldn't necessarily know of an incident.
Okay. Do you know if there are any other events occurring in Northwest Omaha where, I know the Native Omaha Days is the 24th, but are there any other events that you're anticipating at that time?
Any events with alcohol and beer gardens would have the same response from me. I would be, we just have a lot of resources devoted to that large event, Northeast Precinct, and I would oppose that we have any other large events with alcohol that are going to bring a crowd.
Okay.
Thanks. Mr. Jerem.
One of the things I think that if you've been tuned in, Mrs. Payne, to the City Council lately, is the recurring theme about the staffing shortage that exists within the Omaha Police Department. And in certain areas of my district, which is the downtown and midtown areas, there have been things going on that have required the police precinct of the Southeast Precinct to borrow officers from other precincts to simply address situations that have been going on. And particularly at 11th and Farnham, over 20 officers in a shift. Shutting down Farnham, shutting down 11th Street. When you look at what a precinct normally operates on per shift in staffing, I'm told that an entire precinct per shift usually averages about 20 that are on and working or should be staffed. And I'm afraid that what's happened is, because of the shortage in staffing in the police, that a business like yours that might want to have an event which ordinarily at proper staffing levels wouldn't present a overly burdensome challenge to the police in terms of providing coverage to that, has suddenly in recent times become problematic, where we've now had our second precinct captain come before us to say that she doesn't have the staffing necessary to provide coverage for that type of event. And so my position today, it would be highly inconsistent for me on the one hand to support the Southeast Precinct captain and her requests. The few times that she's ever asked for help, I didn't want to be in a position where we're saying no. We want to be a partner with the police. And here we have another precinct captain in a unique position, I'm sure she does not want to be in, to have to say, we can't cover this event, please help me out. So my position today is to support her in that request. It's nothing personal to you and your situation or your business. It's just explaining where I'm at. But also to strike a broader notion that, when we have a police staffing target goal of 804 police, certain grants that we're committed to have staffing hit at least 799 and the 804, and we're currently at, I think, 778, you can see we're considerably below where we need to be. And as we keep this theme that keeps coming to in listening to this at the council, next week we'll get the budget. And I would hope that, as hard as the mayor's working to prioritize the staffing and recruiting of new officers in 14, that we explore innovative ways to perhaps expedite that. Because if we're in a situation where we now have our second police precinct captain saying she's short of staff to cover events like this, then you can see it if we go along with these requests, which in my opinion we should, to help the police captain do her job, to keep people safe in our community, that we need to be looking at ways where we can expedite that recruit class from what's scheduled to be in the third quarter of 2014 to perhaps looking at ways maybe we can put that in the beginning of the second quarter. So that's something I'm going to be trying to work on as we go through the budget process. And I know money's tight, but we now have a situation where we've now had 2 of our 4 precinct captains come in on unrelated issues. This is not a budget hearing. This is not a budget request, but they're being frank with us to say where they are in their staffing levels do not permit them to cover things like this, which a good business operator like Mrs. Payne, probably in other times, we wouldn't even, it would be a 7-0 vote here. But I just want to explain to you where I'm at and why I'm there, and hopefully what we can do to help. So,
thank you. I'll say a few words right now, too. This is my council district, and I talked to Candace in the hallway, and I agree that she is a good operator, and I enjoyed our conversation. And I agree with Councilman Jerem that it's not a matter of or a reflection upon your business or the history of this event you've been having. It sounds like that's gone pretty well. So I'm not opposed to doing this at that location on most days, but I do share the concern on these days, given what we've heard from the precinct captain, and I do share the concern about our staffing levels when we hear about it so frequently, and talked about it in depth this morning in our Public Safety Committee, and feel strongly we need to be doing something about that as soon as possible, because it does impact, when we have events like this, it impacts response times, it impacts everything. And when we have repeated concerns expressed to us from command staff on particular times that they can't have the appropriate coverage for these type of events, in addition to, of course, what we're asking them to do on the street on a daily basis, I think we need to listen to that until we can help provide a solution, and I know this council wants to. So that's my opinion at the moment, too. I think the proposition is improved by reducing the time frame from 11 to 9. I know Brian Hill is a great operator, too. But I think it's not so much the times we're hearing is the problem, it's the dates we're hearing are the problem, and that's where I tend to believe, too. So, next speaker is Councilman Gurnant.
Thanks, Mr. President. Ms. Payne, I'm sure that there's a logical explanation to this, but in addition to my colleagues' concerns, especially when we have a command staff from the police department approach us independently in regards to the concerns that they have for such an event and what resources won't be available for this. But as I'm reading this, and as you commented earlier, was it always your intent to stop at 9 p.m.?
It was. I had my mother fill out some paperwork for me, and that's how the Native Omaha Day celebration got involved in there, and the times were incorrect.
Was there anybody that proofread this?
Right. No, she turned it in, and I thought it was turned in a while ago, and that's why I'm just now getting in front of you. I thought it was turned in by the 12th of last month, and it wasn't. So I'm here now. But can I say something? Because in reference to the way that I operate that lounge, that is why I have never been in front of you. I operate that with the greatest amount of respect for the Omaha Police Department, with the intentions on me never being able or being called to speak to you guys on behalf of something that happened or transpired at my location. I work hard to make sure that I don't cater to troublemakers, you know? So, and this is what I was telling the chief. I said, I work hard to work with you to make sure you don't have any issues from me. So at this time, when I come in front of the city council on a family activity, because there's so many of my members having families come in, I didn't think I would be opposed to something like that because of the way that I do run my establishment and the consideration I do give Omaha Police Department. So, I mean, the decisions are ultimately up to y'all, but I really do. I mean, my business is suffering because I choose to hold the line, you know? So, that's all I have to say.
I appreciate that, and that does mean a lot. Mr. Clerk, this, with what Ms. Payne has stated as far as the dates and the time correction, would it be better to reapply? Because it would seem to me we would need a lengthy amendment to change these dates.
Buster Brown, City Clerk, if you wish to grant it, it would be fairly easy to amend it. You could amend it to the 3 days and noon to 9 p.m. But that's up to the council. And she's going to have a time frame.
I'm not comfortable with that, but I'll think about that. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Gray.
Yeah, Ms. Payne, first of all, you have to keep in mind that we're not talking about you as an operator. We're talking about the days.
Definitely.
The days are the problem. And I would encourage you next year to try not to do it around Native Omaha days because we ran into the same problem last year, and we ended up turning some people down because there was too much going on. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't keep it was too much of a concern to keep control of it. My question, though, to you is this: does it have to be a beer garden?
Well, no. But if it wasn't a beer garden, I wouldn't have had to come to the city council to get your approval.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I mean, but the reason why I'm asking you that is because, as we talked in the hallway, you have some money that you've already spent.
Exactly.
And I would hate for you to lose that money because you purchased, or at least you've leased bouncing tent, those bouncer things, and I don't even know what you call them. But I wouldn't want you to lose any money. But I don't think there's much stomach here on the council to address, to have that be a beer garden and run the concerns of the police department. So I'm wondering if we can get away without it being a beer garden.
That would be fine.
Yes, you want to say something? Come on.
My name is Corla Graham, and I'm at 6805 North 90th Plaza. Mm-hmm. Several of you are native Omahans. If you have family coming in from out of town, and they don't want the habit of what's happening on 24th Street, they want some place to come where they can enjoy, even when the 9 o'clock is over and the kids are gone to the hotel or whatever. They would like some place where they could come and have a wine. If you would come into our establishments and notice, all of our clients are lawyers, bankers, business people that want to stay away from the riffraff. And all we're trying to do is let them and their family enjoy something away from everything. If there's anything that has ever happened at the X Lounge in the last year and a half, you would know about it. We have never had any problem. And you're talking about giving chances. Allow Miss Payne to have that chance just so her patrons could go outside and sit and enjoy and have their beer. That's all we're asking, is to give us a chance to enjoy without having to go down there to see people. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all. I put in the application. She was raised in Denver. I'm from Omaha. I put in the application for her. I apologize for writing it wrong, but from past experiences being a member, I was just trying to underline the things that I was aware of. I knew we had to be shut down by 11, but if it's 9, it's 9. I believe that Candace is a responsible young lady, and she will go by the rules. If we have enough security of our own to make sure, you haven't had any problems since. You know, we don't have that type of riffraff, okay? And we understand the problems that they have on 24th, but you're going to stop her from making her money with her patrons on that day, while everybody on 24th have their say. Everybody on 24th creates them a beer garden. Half of them you don't even know about. You understand? Mm-hmm. She's coming to you with a plea. And a lot of the paperwork is my fault, and I brought it, to try and help her. I'm disabled, but I believe in her. I believe in what she's doing. I've managed a few bars myself, part-time, and I think I've schooled her very well, So that's all I have to say, and I just hope and pray that you would just give her a chance, and I will crack the whip if I have to, you know, to make sure that things are run properly. And I will also take the responsibility if it doesn't.
Let me ask you,
Thank you.
A couple of things. Again, I want to remind you that this is not about her ability to operate. This is no question about her ability to be a good manager and a good owner.
Correct.
Has nothing to do with that. Has everything to do with the days that we're talking about.
I understand.
Okay? In the future, I would suggest that you stay away from Native Omaha Days as the day that you want to do this, because it has turned into something that is quite concerning for all of us. Quite frankly, I have a lot of concerns about Native Omaha Days this time around. A lot of concerns, and that's why I was asking if it had to. I'm trying to find a compromise here so that you don't lose the money that you've already spent.
For staffing issues, I have 4 of my own security members that's on my staff.
Who do you have? We say what now?
Michael Brewer.
Brewer?
You know him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the one that does all of my staffing issues for my security. I mean, I haven't had any issues.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but again, that's a lounge. It's not a bar. It's not a club.
Mm-hmm.
So at any given time, I'm having maybe 25, 30 people in there at any given time on the weekend. I don't have issues like that, but I do have a good security team that makes sure nothing happens there. So, I mean, I'm doing all that I can to make sure that my customers, my patrons that frequent my establishment is safe and the establishment is safe. I do all that's in my power. That's why I can honestly tell you that I've never had to have such an incident to the point where, I mean, I'm called in, somebody's called into Carmen. Again, my neighborhood, all of my neighbors immediately around me, frequent the establishment. I mean, I don't have issues like that. So, but I can tell you that I will be staffed fully for the days outside and inside my establishment to prevent anything from happening. But again, it's my VIP and my continuous customers that frequent my lounge.
Okay. Well, you know, this is the council president. This is his district, and I you know, we tried as much as we can to support each other. This is going to be a tough vote for me. I really don't know how I'm going to do it yet, because the bad thing for me is that I've been out on those streets, especially down on a couple of places around downtown, where police have really been taxed and pressured and so forth, and I know what you're going to, I understand, but
No, I was going to ask you, have you been to the X Lounge?
Yes.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Absolutely.
All right.
But it's not a
I'm just saying, did you feel comfortable, safe?
No, I felt comfortable and safe. I didn't, you know, but I have a little different philosophy about that. I'm going to be comfortable and safe no matter where I go, but that's another discussion. I guess I just right now I don't know that you've got the support to do this. That's why I want to try and see if there's any way. I mean, I don't want you to lose the money that you spent, but I wish we had had a conversation before you applied so that we could talk about some alternative days, because Native Omaha Days is really a tough time for police officers. I have to think about what I'm going to do, but I know your club, I know the neighborhood, I'm supportive of what you do. Those days are just really a tough issue for me right now, but we'll see how it goes when we vote.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Pauls.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question I have, you said typically you have 25 patrons. Is that your typical load?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, and I heard you say you plan to have 75, is that?
Well, it will be the individuals that frequent the establishment and their family that's coming in out of town.
So, but I'm just, you know, I know you don't know exactly, but I heard you say 75, is that?
That's what I had last year. Mm-hmm.
So you're basically, you're just tripling your attendance.
Yeah. It's not even tripling it. Again, it's a lounge. People don't really come to that area like that.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm just full all the time. It doesn't happen.
Right. I'm trying to work myself through this. Okay, so you're telling me the crowd should not get it should not be very large.
No, it's not going to be.
And how many people will you have in, like, as a security?
It'll be 4 on staff, outside and 2 inside.
These are, excuse me, security type people or just?
No, they're security type people. My sister, she works for Arbor Nights. I'm a former employee there. Michael, we have Michael, what's his name? Sherman. That's the immediate people that are actually on staff at that location when we have events.
Okay, so you're telling me the numbers will multiply a little bit, like 3 times, which doesn't seem, and you have 4 people. Okay.
I won't have spirits outside either. It would just be a beer garden.
And how many children do you plan to have around? What's your intent there? I'm just curious.
Last time we had, it was roughly like 75 people, so maybe 15 kids playing basketball and the beanbag throw game, and so roughly 25 kids.
I'm trying to figure out how many adults, so you're figuring around 50. I'm trying to make that comparison to a typical lounge. I mean, a number of lounges have more people than that. I'm trying to see what the issue would be. Okay, thank you. Captain, may I? Thank you. If you need additional staff, where would you pull those from? Would you pull them like from my area of town, a little further west?
Well, there's, for Native Omaha Days, which takes place mainly around 24th Street, that's a northeast precinct. Each precinct, northwest, southwest, southeast, gives staff to northeast for that event. When large events happen, Native Omaha Days, U.S. Open, College World Series, we all work together and give people who would normally work the precincts to those large events. So the precincts run at a lower level of staffing. So we're on a crunch. We're trying not to use overtime. I'm not sure where we would get more staff. If people had to respond, it would be the precinct staff from Northwest, probably some from Northeast. You're right there at the 4 corners, so you could bring from all 4 precincts. That area also is historically we call it a hot spot for crime. We have a lot of crimes that happen because of Saddle Creek and Northwest Radial being, one of our major streets. Those major streets are always surrounded by a lot more crime. So we typically try to give that area more attention anyway. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Because I have a couple other questions. So in the precinct, as you go further west, are they significantly lower in numbers? Or are all the precincts about the same? I'm just
the eastern precincts have higher staffing levels. Northwest precinct goes roughly about 42nd Street to the west side of Elkhorn, Dodge Street to the north city limits. It's a very large precinct. So we have officers who, may be responding to calls around 42nd Street, and they may be in Elkhorn or 120th and Dodge or 10th and Fort.
So that's why right now I have 3 calls to make to people in my area. They're saying they don't see the police very often. I mean, that's their perception anyway.
Right. And we like to hear from those people, so we want them to tell us what's going on, and we can direct our resources. So if they need to see the police, they will.
Okay. Thank you.
Candace, I had a question for you. Then we have some more lights, too. What's your current occupancy level inside?
75.
So theoretically, people could still come at the 75 folks you anticipate, but the inside, if there was no outdoor event?
Correct. But the children wouldn't be able to come in.
Okay. And are you concerned that, is the concern then that they won't come if they can't bring their kids, or will they come anyway? Or?
Well, it's a family-friendly activity. So when I say, I was paired up with Brian Hill Entertainment, it was just for the people that you have coming in from out of town, the people that are here, their children to come in and enjoy themselves. That's simply what it is. It's an outdoor small carnival for my customers.
Okay. So it's more that you're trying to provide a family-friendly environment, but it's still possible, and hopefully they would come anyway to your establishment at some time or another, depending upon what happens today.
definitely, but it will limit the amount of revenue that I have. But and then I just want a definition on a large event from you guys. I mean, they keep saying a large event. A large event is College World Series or the golfing tournament or the Native Omaha Day. I mean, my event, which is the X Lounge event, is a very small.
Yeah, I think that.
I mean, I have a fence going around it. No person can just walk up into the event. Nothing like that.
Yeah, I think the comment, at least my understanding of the comment, was that in the context of a large event, it's something that demands a lot of police resources, and we're hearing that this weekend overall does.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the background there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mr. Thompson's next.
Thank you. I have a dissenting vote here on the council. First of all, I do believe that it is a family-friendly event that they're asking for. I don't see very much parallel between this and what happens on 11th and Farnham. In addition, I do believe that the security will be fine, that Bryan Entertainment will be old school and family-friendly. And not only that, I know the family, and Corla and I have put things on together ourselves. So I know I can vouch for the family that they put on a class act. So I believe that we ought to amend it to 3 days and 9 o'clock and go ahead and grant this. That's my perspective.
Thank you. Ms. Milton's next.
Well, first, I'd like to say I really do commend you. It sounds like there have never been any problems at your location, and I know we were dealing earlier today with a location down off 11th and Farnham that continuously has problems, and it doesn't sound like you have those. And unfortunately, though, I think you're just asking for some times that we may not be able to approve today, and I really do feel very bad about that, because it sounds like you run a very tight ship, and I want to commend you for that. I guess I always feel, especially for my district, Captain Ray is the captain of the Northwest Precinct, and I'm the Northwest District, and I do tend to defer to her recommendation, and if she does not feel that she has the resources, I do like to defer to her. So I guess with that, I have one question for you, Captain. After what you've heard today, and I'm not sure you potentially had all the information before you came today, and I think your concerns are legitimate, and you're very short-staffed, and I'm very sensitive to that. But after what you've heard today with 75 people, and there have been no instances at this bar, if we limit it to 3 days and limit the time, does that change your opinion at all?
It's the dates. If she had it on a different date, I am fully supportive of any family activity in our precinct. It's just those dates. We're very short-staffed.
And so would you be saying that you would oppose any event that there would be kind of an outside beer garden on these dates, regardless of the bar owner or the location?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Gurnant.
Speaking from experience in my other life as a supervisor in law enforcement, when a request came in to send staff to another event in another precinct, yes, does that cause a domino effect, not only to that particular sergeant's area, but it also has a domino effect to the adjoining sergeant's area as well. So you have, kind of bounces back and forth, all right? With that said, Captain, would you mind coming back? Keeping the dates in mind that we're dealing with this application. Let's take X Lounge out of the equation. If you had an occurrence of a Part 1 crime, robbery, shooting, cutting, in the neighborhood boundaries of 1600 Radio Highway to the west or to the east, you'd still would be facing the same problem because your resources are being applied to
Absolutely.
Native Omaha Days or whatever the event might be at another location. Is that
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Final item, Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to harken back to last time we had Native Omaha Days here, and we did have an application from the Spalding Bar, and we had some of the same concerns there, and we went ahead and approved that. I don't know, like I said, I don't know how the vote's going to go, but I'm going to take a chance on you. I really would like for that not to be a beer garden, but, you know, that's what you applied for, and I'm going to take a chance on your the way that you run your operation, the type of clientele that you say you have, and I've seen them, so I know what you have up there, and you know, I'm going to we got to take a chance on it at some point, and I think, you know, what I'll do is, and it's not discounting what the police say. I know what you say. You know, I know it better than a lot of folks know it. But I'll take a chance on you and the security that you have. I would caution you, though, that if I'm still here 2 years from now, I won't be supporting anything else that goes on during Native Omaha Days. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do you want to amend that first?
Motion to approve with the amendment that...
We have to amend first.
About the 3 days. You talking about Friday, Saturday, or Sunday?
Yeah, that's...
3 days, 9 o'clock.
And beer only?
3 days, 9 o'clock, and beer only. That would be my motion.
Second.
Roll call.
This is on the amendment. Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
No.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
No.
Melton?
No.
Mr. President?
No.
The amendment fails. Now we need to act on the application.
Be on the application?
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
No.
Motion and a second. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
No.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton?
No.
Mr. President?
No.
It fails on a 3-4 vote. Consent agenda. Any member of the City Council may cause an item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Item removed consent agenda shall be taken up by the City Council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed, unless otherwise provided by City Council rules of order.
The public hearings on agenda items number 13 through 30 are today. If you wish to address the City Council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item you wish to address, identify yourself by name, address, and who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent. Seeing none.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Items 13 through 30 have been adopted 7-0. Ordinance on final readings and resolutions. We'll take item 31 and 32 together. 31 is an ordinance to amend section 41-2 with the adoption with amendments of certain air pollution rules and regulations. The state of Nebraska provides for the adoption of such rules, including most recent amendments thereto of December 22nd, 2012. And 32 is a resolution that the attached rate structure of the 2013 permit Omaha Air Quality Control to collect fees to offset the cost of the operating permit and asbestos inspection program in Omaha is hereby approved.
Public hearings on items number 31 and 32 are today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearings closed.
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
They're passed 7-0. Resolutions, item number 33, resolution that the attached professional services agreement with the CB Richard Ellis Mega for professional services for the preparation of a market feasibility study, a conceptual design study, a request for proposals process, develop for evaluation and negotiation assistance for the selection of a developer for the Civic Auditorium site is hereby approved. And A is a request from the applicant to withdraw this resolution.
Second. Public hearing on agenda item number 33 is today. There obviously is a motion and a second to withdraw. I think the mayor and council are in agreement on withdrawing this item today, but for someone here who would like to speak, they may. Proponents? Seeing none. Any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Melton?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Withdrawn 7-0. Item number 34, resolution attached 1301, Jones Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan for the redevelopment project site located at 1301 and 1315 Jones Street, which contemplates the complete redevelopment of a former car wash site and a storage facility within the old market area into a new 5-story multifamily market rate apartment building. Is hereby approved.
Public hearing on agenda item number 34 is today. Proponents, Ms. Hadley.
Good afternoon. Bridget Hadley, City Planning. As read before you, this particular project supports the city's goals toward continued redevelopment in the downtown area, as identified in the 2013 Downtown Master Plan, densifying the area, bringing in more residential units to create more of an urban feel, which is already happening. So this is just a continuation of that vision, of a vision actually identified in in the various components of the Downtown Master Plan. And as it states, 5-story new construction apartment building of 100 units, making use of a former car wash site as well as a storage facility site to make a great unit. There will be some public improvements to improve the street facing, the sidewalks, as well as some landscaping, some streetscaping rather. This will involve at least a $13 million investment into the downtown area and up to almost $1.5 million TIF. With that, I'd ask for your approval. We do have a representative of the owner and developer here if you have any specific questions. Thank you.
Any other proponents today? Seeing none, any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Mr. Jerem.
Yes, Dominic, can you come up? If you have an elevation with you, it might be nice. I want to take a minute to just have you introduce yourself and share with us a little bit about what your company's doing, Dominic, to invest in downtown, particularly in the Market West area, on the west side of 13th Street, just north of Leavenworth, on the Jones Street intersection. It's an exciting project. It's 100 units, more living downtown, and I thought people might want to take a peek.
Good afternoon. Dominic Vaccaro, 1004 Farnham Street in Omaha. I apologize, I've got blurry images, but Bridget's got some better ones here.
Glad she's back from vacation.
This project sorry, this is not the best here.
It's a night shot.
Yeah.
The sun's behind us setting, right?
Exactly. I can talk to what we're trying to accomplish. This project's 3 in a series of projects that our company, America First Real Estate Group, has developed that follow a similar pattern. The first one was Capitol Rose Apartments, just north of Joslin and south of Creighton, along 24th Street, where we developed 83 units. We developed 42 units on the corner of 14th and Leavenworth, and now this property will be 100 units. When I say it's the third in a series of 3, we bought existing multifamily properties, all that came with excess land nearby. And in the case of the project here before you today, we purchased the Skinner Macaroni Apartments, which runs between 13th and 14th along Jackson Street in 2007, and we acquired from the same ownership group what was known as the Old Market Car Wash on the corner of 13th and Jones. We always envisioned at some point the higher and better use for that location would be multifamily apartments, and we we kind of executed our development plan across the three projects that I referenced in sequential fashion, so that we were building one, getting it leased up and stabilized, and then moving subsequently on to the next project. And each of these developments has happened over the last 3 or 4 years. This project will clearly be most similar to what's known as L14 Flats, the one I referenced before, that's on 14th and Leavenworth. There in late July or around this time last year, we completed construction of 42 units. That project has a first floor parking at grade with 3 stories of residential housing above it. The project has been successful in terms of its lease up, and I think has been well received by residents of downtown. As we approached our stabilized occupancy levels for that project, we began discussions with city planning staff to embark upon the development of this former car wash site at 13th and Jones. We had actually started the process on this site probably 2 or 3 years ago, or around the same time that we started the 14th Street project, in terms of completing a rezoning. Then over the last 3 or 4 months, again working with the city staff, together we identified an opportunity to acquire the adjoining property, which was a storage building between our property and an existing historic building on the corner of 14th and Jones that has recently traded and or recently sold, and the owner there has been upgrading it. And so this we thought was a great opportunity to redevelop the former car wash site plus the cab site, or excuse me, not the cab site. That was, speaking of the 14th Street project, this storage building that was to the west. If you can picture this night shot, where my finger is here is kind of the 13th Street facade. As Bridget mentioned, we'll have parking at grade, the first floor of the building, and then we'll have, in this case, 4 stories of housing up above, which allows us to get to the 100 units. There'll be a mix of studios, 1-bedrooms, and 2-bedroom apartments, geared most heavily on the 1-bedroom units, because that seems to be a product type that's very desirable downtown. Moving to the elevation along Jones Street, it's hard to see, and I apologize in this imagery, but we've attempted to, we've modified the facade of the building on the western end of our project to more closely match the architecture with similar window types to the building to the west, with the goal of trying to have some continuity in the design and a transition to blend the newer building with the historic building that will remain. Our building will be held back approximately 10 feet to the east of the exterior wall of the adjoining property owner, because we want to make sure that during the construction process we don't do anything to undermine that building. We did close on the, as I mentioned, we owned the car wash property, the original property, since 2007, and we closed on the acquisition of the storage building just after the 4th of July, or just before the 4th of July. So we do now own the entire site and have been working with the city through the various approval processes. It's been a bit of a challenge to our timeline because, like I mentioned, we had the original site rezoned and ready to go, and now we've been working through the process to rezone the new site, combine the lots, and start the construction. The timeline for this project, we're starting, we've demolished the car wash building and are working through utility shutoffs and things of that nature for the new property, and we'll start construction here in the coming weeks, and we expect to be complete by around this time next year. Be happy to answer any additional questions. Thank you.
Well, I just think it was worth taking, and I know you'll be back probably on the TIF, but to take a moment to recognize what you're doing and thank you for your investment in downtown, and I'm sure your continued investment, because I know you and your cohorts over there, at 10th and Farnham are always looking on to the next project, which could be even more exciting than this one. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing it as it goes.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. No further lights. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett?
Yes.
Gray?
Yes.
Jerem?
Yes.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
Adopted 7-0. Item number 35, resolution to attach Midtown Urban Living Tax Increment Financing Redevelopment Project Plan for the redevelopment project site located at 3105 Dewey Avenue and 506 South 31st Street, which contemplates the complete rehabilitation of 2 adjacent 3-story apartment buildings, is hereby approved.
Public hearing on item number 35 is today. Proponents.
Bridget Hadley, City Planning. I apologize, I don't have any color renderings. I will try to make sure I have some next time. This particular project is in the Midtown area, and it supports the city's efforts to continue redevelopment, and in this case, providing for housing in areas of redevelopment. This particular property had been on our code and condemnation action list, and the owner approached us, and we saw that it was a good project to move forward with. There'll be about 20 units total, about 19 or so that are apartment units, 1 and 2 bedroom units, and then 1 commercial bay that will be on the, I believe I said west side, of one of the buildings at 31st and Dewey, which looks onto the park. And some may be familiar with is it Gerald P. Funk? Gerard P. Funk, excuse me. He's an artist who has an artist studio commercials in that commercial space. So with this is representing a little over $1.3 million in investment in this particular 2 properties in this area, and about a $180,000 TIF project. And the owner is in the back if you have any specific questions, but we certainly thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Any other proponents? Please come down.
I don't know how I'm going to work this.
We've got a mic.
Got a mic for you here if you want one, right in front.
There you go.
Terry Christensen, 325 South 178th Avenue, Omaha, Nebraska. Any questions?
I think we'll have a couple lights here. Yeah.
Pardon me?
We have a couple lights here. Maybe we'll give it one more second and stay where you are, and we'll see if there's any questions. Any other proponents? See none. Any opponents? See none. Public hearing's closed. Mr. Thompson.
Any person that has the word P-Funk connected to their name, I'm for that. So that alone got me, so P-Funk.
Thank you. Mr. Jerem.
Yes, and although this project has 1 0 less involved than the last one we just heard about, it's still important. It's expanding on the success, what we're seeing at Midtown Crossing now, as we expand the universe of that development and the redevelopment of the area right around it. This is an example of a good project, and thank you for making this happen.
Thank you. Is there a motion for P-Funk?
I move their approval.
Second.
No further lights. Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yeah, I think
Jerem?
I'll support Funkadelic next time.
Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
It's adopted 7-0. Item number 36, resolution attached amendments to the Omaha Council Bluffs fiscal year 2010, 11, 12, and 13 consolidated submission for community planning and development programs are hereby approved.
Public hearing on item number 36 is today. Are there any proponents? Any opponents? Public hearing's closed.
Motion approved.
Roll call.
Pauls?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Gurnett? Gray?
Yes.
Jerem? Milton? Mr. President?
Yes.
It's adopted 7-0. Ordinance on second reading, item number 37, ordinance to approve an award contract to Minnesota Life Insurance Company to provide life insurance coverage to eligible city employees.
Public hearing on item number 37 is today. Are there any proponents? See none. Any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Next item.
Item 38, ordinance to approve an agreement between the city and Impact One Community Connection and Family First, a call to action to provide funding for the Omaha Gang Violence Prevention Strategy, Phase 3.
Public hearing on item number 38 is today. Are there any proponents? Seeing none. Any opponents? Public hearing's closed. Next item.
Pursuant to City Council Rule 7D, the public hearing agenda items number 39 through 40 shall be held on the third reading. Pursuant to City Council Rule 7C, the public hearing on agenda items 41 through 46 shall be held in the second reading. Chairman of the Board of Equalization reports approval of plans of assessments at the regular meeting held July 2nd, 2013.
Second.
Roll call.
Pauls.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Gray.
Yes.
Jerem.
Yes.
Milton. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion adjourned.
Roll call.
Pauls. Thompson.
Yes.
Gurnett. Gray. Jerem. Milton. Mr. President.
Yes, and congratulations, Mr. Weaver.
You made it through. 3:20.
I'd just like to say thank you today.
See. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain.